Just in, Elon Musk just unveiled Starship 24. Starship has been SpaceX and Elon Musk's most sought-after and popular invention, being equipped with the most advanced features in the space industry. However, with the recent unveiling of the Starship, new possibilities are around the corner. Today we'll be talking about the unveiling of the Starship 24 by Elon Musk and SpaceX. What can this spaceship do? How will it help SpaceX? Well, stick to the end as we answer these questions and more as we delve into the world of SpaceX and Elon Musk. Without further ado, let us begin. The new spacecraft, Starship 24, illustrates how different and more muted starbases were the prior year in comparison to the year before that. Nevertheless, it also represents new hope for a substantially busier 2022, as SpaceX prepares for the first attempt to launch a Starship into orbit, albeit with an entirely different rocket. This year marks the 10th anniversary of the launch of the Space Shuttle. It is anticipated that the Starship will transport passengers and freight to the orbits of Earth, the Moon, and Mars. However, according to a contract, the corporation must demonstrate that the vehicle is capable of landing astronauts on the Moon. Musk has described it as a generic transport mechanism for the broader solar system. The space agency has set a goal to land humans on the Moon's surface no later than the year 2025. Thus, SpaceX needs to go to work. It has not yet been possible to launch a Starship rocket that is completely stacked. The Starship S-20 was brought back to the launch pad for the second time in a month on the 13th of August 2021. On August 5th, the same incomplete Starship that had piled on the extremely heavy booster earlier assembled the world's largest rocket for a short period. With the benefit of hindsight, it is now abundantly evident that reaching that specific milestone was more of a photo opportunity than it was a technological success. Despite everything, the course that Ship 20 took was a lot more fruitful than Booster 4's. The Starship made its way back to the factory aboard the Starbase for a few more days of last-minute preparations before making its way back to the launch pad on August 13th. Ship 20 did not begin its first substantial tests until the latter week of September, and its first Raptor static firing did not occur until the middle of October. Midway through November, Ship 20 finished the first of several successful static firings with 6 Raptors. In conclusion, by the time Ship 20 was retired in May of 2022, the Starship was unquestionably completely prepared to try orbit, or at the absolute least, undertake some kind of ambitious hypersonic test flight. On the other hand, Super Heavy Booster 4 was never even close to being in a comparable state of preparation for flight, and SpaceX was never granted the launch license or environmental permission from the FAA that was necessary for an attempt to launch into space. It does not appear that SpaceX will be awarded the necessary authorization for a limited orbital test flight campaign until May in the year 2022. Despite this, it's difficult to determine if Booster 4 and Ship 20 could have supported the launch campaign if authorization had been granted many months earlier. All aspects have been chronically delayed, and as a result, Booster 4 and Ship 20 are now severely out of date. The unexpected arrival of Starship prototype S-24 by the corporation is therefore an encouraging indicator. Yesterday, the unfinished unit was moved from SpaceX's Boca Chica plant to a testing area where it's currently undergoing inspection. The new prototype was unveiled in a video that was uploaded to the NASA Space Missions channel on YouTube. The film offers numerous distinct perspectives of this monstrosity. Some key qualification tests, such as pressure and cryogenic proof tests, need to be passed by the prototype before it can be considered qualified. If all goes according to plan, S-24 will be moved to the suborbital pad for additional testing. The Super Heavy B-7 and Starship 24 have been given the responsibility of serving as the new candidates for the Starship's orbital launch debut. Both have major design improvements to allow for an updated Raptor engine and the innumerable lessons learned over a year spent diagnosing and testing their predecessors. These design adjustments have been included in both models. Booster 7 has already completed many cryogenic proof tests. It is currently in the process of acquiring 33 new Raptor engines, despite having a difficult beginning. On the other hand, Starship S-24 has been put on the back burner in comparison, which may indicate that SpaceX is satisfied with Ship 20's performance. It wasn't until the 26th of May 2022 that SpaceX was finally able to finish the prototype to the point where certification testing could commence. Although it's missing hundreds of TPS tiles and an aero cover cap, Ship 24 was quickly moved into position at a sort of drive-by test stand where it appears the prototype will first need to pass basic pressure and cryogenic proof tests. Despite this, it appears the prototype will first need to pass these tests. If it's successful, SpaceX will position Ship 24 on a suborbital launch and test stand suborbital pad that has been substantially modified for qualification testing. Instead of going straight into static flames, SpaceX will first utilize hydraulic ramps to replicate the thrust of 6 Raptor V2 engines, all while the Starship steel tanks and pipes are frozen to cryogenic temperatures. This will take place as the static fires are being simulated. For SpaceX to install new Raptor engines and get ready to recreate the success that Ship 20 had with many static burns, Ship 24 must first finish its stress testing. It is anticipated that Ship 24 will be required to sustain over 1,400 tons of thrust during liftoff. This is nearly 25% higher than Ship 20 has ever been subjected to. Ship 24 is the first Starship SpaceX to be outfitted with the next generation nose. It is also the first Starship SpaceX to have a large landing propellant, a redesigned header tank, and a potentially usable payload bay inside. Assuming that Ship 24 is successful in all of its planned crush-proof and thrust simulation tests, it is currently unknown whether SpaceX will return to the Starbase factory facilities, or as they did with Ship 20, install rafters and finish its heat shield and thermal protection while the ship is still on the test stand. So, how do you think the video is going? Another obstacle awaits. What 2 test windows will SpaceX opt for? When will these windows take place? Before we answer these questions, do not forget to like and subscribe to the channel so you could keep up on receiving similar content. At the moment, SpaceX is planning 2 different test windows. The first one will take place on Friday, May 27th from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. Central Standard Time, and the second one will take place on Tuesday, May 31st from 10 a.m. to 10 p.m. Central Standard Time. The prototype might be the upper stage that sits on top of Booster 7, which is being built at the Boca Chica plant. Depending on how things play out, S-24 could either stay on the pad or be sent back to the manufacturer for extra development. The Raptor is going to be replaced on the Super Heavy rocket, as stated in the report. For SpaceX to carry out its orbital test, the Federal Aviation Administration first needs to finish its study of the environment. This highly anticipated review has already been postponed by the FAA on 4 separate occasions. Nonetheless, it's believed that the final version will be made available within the next week. The Boca Chica complex, sometimes known as the Starbase by the people who work with SpaceX, is located on environmentally delicate ground. The findings of the reviews can have a sizable bearing on the whole project. A comprehensive environmental study of the Boca Chica site, which could take several years to complete, would be the very worst thing that could happen to SpaceX. Alternately, the FAA might provide SpaceX with a list of straightforward recommendations to adhere to, or they may come up with a compromise solution. In any event, we'll be keeping a careful eye on how things progress in this regard. And that's pretty much it for today's episode. Please share your thoughts in the comment box. Your encouragement motivates us to create more high-quality content. Do leave a like and hit subscribe if you want to see more videos like these. Thank you, and we'll see you again soon.